evening and welcome to On the Sidelines. I'm your host, Steve Valley, and with me is the Brockton High School football head coach, Armond Colombo. Good evening, Armond.
Hi, Steve. Good to see you.
Tonight, Armond and I will discuss the Boxers thrashing, a 35-7 thrashing over the Sachem Flaming Arrows, or should I say smoldering arrows after this game. First of all, Armond, I had talked to a sportscaster from New York, and he said to me that Sachem was a big muscular team, to which he referred to as the high school football mafia, that wore down their opponents physically and mentally. Did you prepare your team for this kind of a game?
Yes, we did. We prepared for the first three games much in the same way, that they were an unknown quantity, and we did not know what type of quantity or quality they had, and we just figured that we had to assume that they were going to be a great football team, and in order to compete and eventually beat them, that we would have to play at our very best. And fortunately, everything turned out well for us.
Were they as physical as this sportscaster said?
Well, they weren't as physical as we were, and I think that they will do very well in their league. They caught us on a very, very good football day. We had, of the three games that we played, we did play our very best, which is always a good sign. You always like to think that your last game is your best game, and this certainly was our best football game.
Going into this game, preparing for it, did you think that the Boxers would dominate play as much as they did?
Well, I told the players and I told the coaches that I felt as though we were ready to play a real good football game. I just felt that because of the extra time that we had, Tuesday, Wednesday, we did not have school on Wednesday, the extra time that we put in just made us that better prepared for the game. And I had a sense that we were going to play a real football game.
In the previous two games, your team did take total control, but not until, let's say, third quarter. As soon as the whistle blew this week, it seems that the Boxers took control of the game.
Yeah, I think last week we were on the verge of doing that, and we more or less let Baltimore off the hook. Incidentally, Baltimore played this past weekend and beat their Maryland opponent 35-0, which gives you the ability that Baltimore had. But we didn't put Baltimore away. I think this time, other than that one mistake that we made up close, we put them away real good. We took advantage of all the opportunities that we had.
Thank you, Armond. Armond and I will be right back after this game-scoring summary of Brockton's 35-7 victory over Sachem. Harris started the Boxers' offense off very fast as he returns this punt 27 yards to the Sachem 30-yard line, the first time he touches the ball in the game. And 5 plays later, Harris would run behind Chris Murphy and Darnell Campbell into the end zone from 5 yards out to make it 7-0 in favor of the Boxers. On a 2nd and 31 play, Harris runs through and right over the Sachem defense, gaining 25 yards. And on the very next play, Bob Zarinskas hits Tony DeGrace for 17 yards to keep the drive going. After Bobby Zarinskas ran it in from 1 yard out for a 14-0 lead, he took off on this beautiful option play that was good for 34 yards and would eventually set up this 25-yard touchdown run by Rudy Harris as he just outraces the Flaming Arrows defense. As the Boxers took a 21-0 lead into halftime, in the third quarter, the Rudy Harris show continues as he busts out for 45 yards on this carry, which eventually set up this beautiful bullet pass from Bob Zarinskas to Steve Marciano to make the score 28-0 in favor of Brockton. The Boxers weren't through yet, though, as Darnell Campbell rambles 11 yards right through the meat of the Flaming Arrows' defensive line, giving Brockton its 35th and final point and leaving Sachem scoreless. The Brockton defense held the Sachem Flaming Arrows offense in check as they forced 3 interceptions and 1 fumble as they held Sachem's highly touted quarterback John Calabria to only 188 yards of total offense, but 75 of those yards came against Brockton's second unit as Sachem scored their only touchdown of the game. Jay McGillis was the defensive hero of the day as he recorded 12 tackles, 7 of which were solo. Other defensive standouts included Rudy Harris, Mike Thorson, Stephen Marciano, and Mike Lewis, as the Boxers are well on their way of defending their Division I Super Bowl championship with a 3-0 season. Okay, welcome back. Now Armond and I are going to be showing you some key offensive plays which the Boxers did. And first of all, I have to say your special teams played extremely well Saturday.
Very, very well. All teams, punting teams and kickoff teams, the best we've played all year. Hitting on the kickoff when they were returning, and punt returns were a big part of our offense. Picked up big chunks of yardage. In fact, the first play that we did have to handle the ball, Rudy ran it back for a big yardage.
I think we're going to see that any second now. Rudy Harris's 27-yard return. Is there a technique for...
Well, what they're doing here, we knew that they did a lot of holding at the line when they were punting, so our kids more or less held their block longer than usual to more or less detain them at the line of scrimmage that much longer, giving us a little bit more time and room to run the ball. But basically, on this particular play, it was a great individual effort by Rudy.
Yes, it was. All right, I believe the next play is what I call the wishbone, you call the power formation with Chris, not the refrigerator Murphy, in the backfield from a couple yards out.
Right, this is a particular play that we run off the right side, and Leon Stephenson, Mike Lewis, Peter Janikoulis, Mike Thorson up front blocking, and then Chris Murphy cleaning out on the outside, Darnell blocking towards the inside, and then Rudy cutting off tackle. This is our power off tackle play where really very difficult to contain when the people do their job. In that particular play, they did their job real well.
You could really see the size of the hole. You could have drove a car through that.
Yeah.
All right, the next play we're going to take a look at is Brockton was in a down situation, 2nd down and 31 after a couple penalties, and this 25-yard run from Rudy Harris.
Right, this was a draw play. Again, over the right side, but Jimmy Kelleher participates in this, as well as Mike Thorson and Mike Lewis and Peter Janikoulis, and a nice block by Darnell again, and of course the draw play, showing pass, then running, them of course expecting the pass because of the long yardage. But when you have Rudy and Darnell, you feel as though many times you can pick up what you ordinarily could pick up with a pass, and in this particular play we did. This gave us a big chunk back. We were deep with, I think, 30, 31 yards to go, and that brought us back a long way.
And you did make the rest of it up the next play.
Next play on a good dive fake and a quick look-in pass to Tony DeGrace. Perfect throw by Bobby, and an excellent catch by Tony DeGrace. Fake here, look up. There it is, everything set up. You see the excellent blocking by the right side of the line again. And Bobby got his man picked right out. That's Tony coming across it, but they were one-on-one. Clear route that no one with in any way to bother Tony because of the play action fake, and a nice looking play, and continued our movement downfield.
How big was this play?
Oh, it's a vital play. I think it ends up it precedes our second touchdown. At the time we were only 7-0, and you like to get that 2 touchdown up, because when Brockton gets in that particular situation, we're tough to handle.
Now going into halftime, you're ahead 28-0. You obviously were happy with the play of your offense and your defense.
Well, offensively, our offensive line, which has a great deal to do with the success that we have. We've mentioned the right side, and on the left side we have a great blocker, Chris Murphy, who also plays defense, and Jimmy Kelleher, one of our best blocking guards ever at Brockton High. And, of course, Mike Thorson, our center, and then Mike Lewis, and Peter Janikoulis, and Leon Stephenson. What a job they do. And, of course, they do that well because they know that they've got great people behind them. And as long as they've got Rudy and Darnell to take advantage of what they do, it's a nice feeling to know that when you do your job, someone's going to take advantage.
Okay, thank you, Armond. We'll be right back after this message to discuss the defensive highlights.
The air that space explorers breathe is scientifically controlled, but the air you breathe in your home may increase your risk of developing lung cancer, because that air may contain radon. It's a radioactive gas that EPA believes is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Find out more about radon gas and how to protect your family from it. Call your American Lung Association.
Okay, welcome back. Now, Armond, we're going to take a look at just some of the many outstanding defensive plays that occurred last Saturday. First of all, the pressure on Calabria, who was highly touted from the New York press as being a great passer and to pick apart defensive coverage. You had pressure on him all day long.
All day long, and I think we mentioned to the players that we have to go after the passer. We've got to hurry him up. When his arm goes up, your arms go up, and here's a good example right here. I believe this is one of the Lewis brothers. It might be Tony getting his hands up. Then again, it might be Michael, too. But getting the hands up, deflecting the ball, hurrying the passer has a great deal to do. When that guy doesn't have a lot of time, there isn't anyone who's going to sit back there and be very successful.
And again, your coverage in the backfield.
Defensive secondary, Bill McCoy and Joe DeMori and Jay McGillis and Steve Marciano. Outstanding jobs. And, of course, the guys up front, Tony Lewis, Mike Lewis, Chris Murphy, Dave Grind, Rudy and Darnell playing the ends, as well as Eric Drukas, as well as Jay and Raymond Marshall. It's been outstanding play by the defense, and I thought this was definitely our best defensive effort. And it just, if we play great defense along with our offense, we're going to be very tough to handle. But we're far from satisfied. We realize that we have to get better, and we're determined to get better.
This next play, it seemed that the Boxers were making Calabria very uncomfortable in the backfield. And on this play, Jay McGillis ultimately gets the sack of Calabria.
Our two cornerbackers, Jay McGillis and Steve Marciano, simply had outstanding days. And this is a particular special play that we have in which Jay has the responsibility of getting into the backfield and causing trouble. And, of course, he causes an awful lot of trouble here by getting at the passer and, again, giving Calabria an awfully tough time.
Sure. Rushing him. Yeah. And ultimately, McGillis will break free, and there it is,
makes
the big
play.
sack.
Yeah.
All right. Also, there were 3 interceptions. Great pressure. This one by Adam Williams, and it's going to stop on this coverage. There's 2 Sachem receivers and 4 black shirts around the receivers.
Yeah, the defensive secondary, along with Mike Thorson up front, just doing an unbelievable job. This is the situation you're talking about, right? Ball is thrown, ball is released, and Adam Williams, a sophomore, incidentally, in our defensive backfield. We use him when we are in our pass defensive coverage, and excellent reaction and makes the interception.
Okay. Now, the final play, after this interception by Adam Williams, final play I'm going to highlight is someone who stars on offense plus on defense, Rudy Harris. It seems that from his defensive end position, he was creating havoc there and ultimately ended up with this sack of Calabria.
Yeah. We can't forget that Rudy started his high school career as a freshman as a defensive end, and he was a tremendous force at that position. He did not forget how to play the position. He's a great defensive end. Of course, one of his favorite players is Andre Tippett, and there's a very close resemblance to the two of them when they play the game at that defensive end position. And here's a situation where strength and speed are put together by Rudy and eventually getting the sack on Calabria.
And great pursuit by the rest of the line also, yeah. And the linebacker.
That usually is a trademark of our teams. We like to get involved, and this past Saturday we had an awful lot of tackles where we had more than half of the defensive team involved, and that's what we strive for, and I hope we continue that.
Okay, we'll be right back now after this message with the A.C. Grady's Player of the Week.
What are you gonna get?
Maybe that chocolate cake.
Yeah, sure looks good.
Yeah, but it's not much to grow on.
Hey, look, it's Danny. Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm here to stay in shape.
Here?
I need to eat right to play right, eat to win. You need all 4 food groups playing on your team if you want to win. Good, solid game food.
Game food?
You gotta practice to stay in top shape.
You mean like practice eating?
So, you guys up for some practice?
Yeah, let's eat!
Okay, welcome back. This week's Player of the Week, I tried to hold off until further in the season to give it to him, but I couldn't hold off. It's Rudy Harris, the star of Saturday.
No surprise, I guess. He had 180-plus yards and big plays on defense, big plays on offense, and Rudy is a great football player and most deserving. And the important thing is that any award that you get or give to our football team, each and every player that receives them receives the award with the idea that this is for the team and for a job well done, realizing that whatever we do together. So Rudy is a deserving player, absolutely, and the performance he put on Saturday, I think, is a great performance, but I know he's capable of doing better, and he does too.
Another side of Rudy I saw Saturday, after he took a good hit, he went over to the Sachem player and tapped him on the shoulder and obviously congratulated him on the good hit.
Well, that's one good lesson that I think we learned from this particular series of out-of-state games. It's great to play other teams and see the way they react and to see the sportsmanship. We were very, very impressed with the sportsmanship by each of the teams that we played. Last week, Baltimore, their sportsmanship just was incredible on the field. And I think by experiencing this and seeing this, that it is great to go out and play and realize that when you're playing a tough game, but you get knocked down by someone, hey, you pat them on the back, good hit, that's the name of the game, and you respect one another, and there's no better feeling than that. And that's basically, I think, what we got out of these 3 games, mutual respect towards one another.
Okay, now that the 3 games against the out-of-state teams, the games that probably had you and your coaching staff and your team concerned are done with, what can we look forward to for the rest of the season?
More concern. We're concerned every time we play. And the out-of-state teams concern us no more than any team that we will play during the course of the year. We stress respect of every team that we play. And this particular year, I think we have more motivation. I think because of the fact that we are number 1 in the country, that we have a lot more to defend, and we want to keep this ranking, and it is a great honor. And so we will go into each and every game with the utmost respect for the other team and with a tremendous regard to defend this number 1 rating.
Okay, Armond, thank you once again for appearing, and we'll be back in 2 weeks because the Boxers have an idle week next week to discuss the Boxers game against the BC High Eagles.